Hi, I'm Liz with the Missouri Star Quilt Company, and today we're going to make the quarter moon pouch using all Missouri Star products. We've got our Drunkard's Path template, our Missouri Star Fancy Zips, and our Missouri Star Fancy Vinyl. Let me show you how to get started. Okay, so the first step is to cut an 18 by 9 inch piece of what I'm going to use is our glitter fancy vinyl. So I'm going to start with a brand new roll, and I'm going to roll out 18 inches because it's only 16 inches wide. But I'm going to start at the 17 and stop at the 35 to give me 18 inches of vinyl to work with. And it cuts like butter. And then I'm going to turn and first clean up the edge. Because a lot of times when we get something home, even vinyl, the first edge is a little bit, ever so slightly off. So I'm going to line up my nice cut edge on the 17 and come back to the 35. And now I've got a nice, clean area to work with. Now I'm going to trim down to 9 inches. So that's down here to the 26. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Better to count twice and cut once. All lined up. And voila. So I'm going to save this piece for another project because there are lots of fun bags this would be good for. Set that to the side. And now I need to cut out my quarter moon shape. So I'm going to line up the corners that I just trimmed oh so prettily. And I'm going to crease this side. So when you're working with vinyl, you never want to take an iron to it. It will melt. So if it is something that you're having some trouble with, you can take a hairdryer at the low setting and warm it up and then press it and it will behave really well. This is a great tip. But this one also does a nice job creasing enough for my purposes with just finger pressing. So I've put the crease in here. I'm actually going to flip the crease to my left-hand side, and I'm going to pull in my large Drunkard's Path template, and I'm going to line the stitch line with the crease, the folded side, and with the bottom. So you can see that here and here. I'm going to hold this down, and that slight stickiness of the vinyl is going to hold that really nicely. And then I'm just going to cut along this curve, like so. Ta-da! Okay, so now we have our quarter moon shape, and it is a half moon piece. All right, so the next step is to attach the zipper. And I've chosen this really pretty teal fancy zip, and I'm going to open it up. And the way we're going to attach this is one side starts at the top of the moon and comes down to the point, and then we're going to flip it around, and the other side starts at the top of the moon and comes down to a point. And they're going to overlap a little, and that's okay. So here's my crease. You can see it right here. And I'm going to want the zipper side down, and I want the middle a little bit, maybe a 1/4 inch in from the crease. And I'm going to be able to lay the vinyl right up against the teeth. And then I'm going to pin this in place, not using pins, but clips, because the pins are going to leave a permanent hole. So I want to use clips to hold everything. And I'm just going to roll around this curve, easing in the zip. And this is a really cool thing about the cutouts in the fancy zips, is they let it ease in really easily. So a lot of times when you clip for a curve, you're taking some material away to make it easier. Because of the cutouts, this is already clipped for a curve. It works great. So you can see I'm just going to keep going all the way down. And again, up to the teeth, I don't want to go too far because that'll make it hard to open. And it's going to hang over the edge a little bit. We're going to come back and trim this at the end, so don't worry about that. We're just going to start right here, and with the zipper towards the bed of your machine, we're going to use a zipper foot to attach the zipper. So I want to talk to you a little bit about how to sew with vinyl. I am using a zipper foot, and what I've done is attached a little bit of masking tape to the bottom. That's going to let that run along and glide and be very smooth so it doesn't grip just like we did with the ruler. So we want to have masking tape. You could use copy paper, tissue paper, something that's going to form a little bit of a barrier between the vinyl and the presser foot. But this masking tape is my best trick, and I put a little bit on, and then I'm going to have come in with scissors, maybe even my fabric scissors, don't tell, and clipped into where the needle is coming in, and use my nail to push that masking tape up and out of the way so that only the bed of the zipper foot is covered with the masking tape, leaving room for the needle to actually pass through the needle hole. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on my machine, and I'm using a closely coordinated thread because I like the way that it works with the zipper color. You could use contrasting thread. I'm using a 40 weight Missouri Star thread. It's a polyester thread, and it glides a little more easily through vinyl. I also want to set my stitch length to a minimum of 2.5, but I'm going to go with a 3. So I've got that here on my machine, and I'm using my zipper foot. So I've got my zipper foot number attached here. On my machine, it's a number 2. And then for sewing vinyl, I'm going to use a denim needle. So the reason we use a longer stitch length and the denim needle is to help so that we're not perforating and making it easy to tear. So the longer stitch length and the denim needle help it to do a better job of staying over time. And we're going to do 2 lines of stitching to also give it extra strength. So let's start with that first line of stitching. So again, I've got the masking tape on my presser foot. My machine is all set. I'm going to put the zipper down towards the bed of the machine. Kind of slide this all around. I'm actually going to start with my needle towards the zipper teeth. So for my machine, that's actually a 15, not the 2. And I am going to backstitch at the beginning, just a couple stitches, and then very gently follow the edge of the vinyl. And gently ease it around. Get that thread out of the way. Okay, when I get up here to the end of the zipper, so you're going to pay attention to where the crease line is, and that's where you're going to stop stitching. And then backstitch a couple stitches. And then we're going to come in and do that on that line again with a second line of stitches. Start back down at the zipper again, and now I'm going to stitch on the outside. It's about 1/8 of an inch in from the end of the zipper to give it a second line of stability. And it's easier this time because we already have it held in place by the first line of stitching. Okay. So let's take a look at that. You can see the 2 lines of stitching just barely with this coordinated thread. So I'm going to pull the zipper around to here, and these are going to overlap at the top just a little bit, about like so. But remember, I want the plastic or vinyl on top, not the zipper. So I'm going to scooch that down, and we'll start clipping that in place. And whatever's comfortable for you is what you should do. If it's facing you, if it's facing away from you, you just want to make sure the vinyl is up close to the teeth, same distance as the other side. And voila. So this time, again, to keep the zipper towards the machine, I'm actually going to start at the top and stitch very close, and then come back again and stitch the second line. So I'll do that, and then I'll come back and show you the next step. All right. As you come to the end, the zipper can feel in the way. So you're just going to pull it away as far as you can, and we're stitched down as far as you can. And it may have like a 1/4 inch that you can't get to, and that's okay. We're going to stitch that anyway. So we can stop there, backstitch, and we're good. And I'm using my other hand to manipulate the bag. When we get close to the zipper, we're going to pull it out of the way and get as close to the end as we can. We kind of have to like tuck everything away. We're pretty close to the end of this vinyl without getting in the way of the zipper, and then we'll backstitch a couple stitches. And that's it. Now I'm going to trim where this overlaps a little bit. I'm going to use a bigger pair of scissors. And just trim that down. And I'll trim away this overlap as well. And I'm going to put our handle there. So our handle started off as a 2 by 6.5 inch rectangle. And then we're going to fold in the ends, a 1/4 inch, fold it in half and press, and then fold each half to the center and press. Then you're going to stitch down each side, and so you'll have a little handle, and we're just going to position that over where the pieces overlapped and stitch across there with a straight line. All right, so I'm going to sew 2 straight lines across and backstitch both a couple of times. So there's one, and then I'm going to lift the needle, and I'm just going to move right back down to where that second line was and do the same thing. So now that the handle's been attached, we need to close the bag at the bottom. We're going to turn the bag inside out. Makes a lovely noise. And make sure the zipper is about halfway closed. because we don't want to sew it so that the zipper is outside the bag. That just is no good. So now we're going to even this up, and we are simply going to stitch a 1/4 inch seam along the bottom of the bag. I am going to reinforce that with some back stitching at the beginning here. And then just right along the edge, nice and steady. When we get up to this part, we're going to stitch right up to where we can. The teeth are going to kind of stand up and prevent us from going all the way off the edge. That's just fine. And this bottom edge is actually where contrasting thread is super fun, because you can see it's just a little hint of pop of color. And especially on this clear glitter, it really stands out in a really fun way. Let me show you that here. So again, I'm going to manage my threads. And here at the beginning. But see how that fun little pop of color stands out? You can do a contrasting color, you can do a coordinating color, you can do something that's wild and wacky and completely different. Totally up to you. But now that we've done this, we're going to clip the zipper and we're going to grade this tip. So first I'm going to start with grading the tip. Instead of just cutting straight here, I'm actually going to come at it at a different angle and give it a little less room. I don't want to cut all the way through. That was a little bit there. And vinyl does not ravel at all. So we're just going to grade it to give it a little less bulk when we turn it. And then here at the zipper, we're going to do kind of the same thing. I'm going to use a bigger pair of scissors. And if the stitch line would be up here, I'm going to kind of grade it a little bit. So I'm clipping away the extra zipper tab, and I'm leaving this slightly less than the seam. Okay? Now the fun part, we're going to flip it. So I like to unzip it a little bit more on the inside, and then we're just going to kind of manhandle it, because you're the boss of the vinyl. The vinyl is not the boss of you. And I'm going to poke the corners out. It's a delightful noise. And then pull all the pieces apart. Where the zipper tab is the trickiest part, but it's also really easy to see. So you're going to put your finger here at the end of the zipper and just grab it with your thumb and finger and kind of poke it into place. So I can use tools, but I found that they poke right through the vinyl, so I'm going to advise you just be patient and use your fingers to do this. Same here, we're going to kind of travel along that stitch line, and using a colorful thread makes that easy to find. I can just kind of poke and press along that line to make sure it's all the way out. And then we graded this corner to make it easy. We're just going to kind of poke that out as well. If it's being a little bit of a brat, I'm going to have you get your hairdryer. You're going to set it to a low setting, and you're going to wave it at this until it behaves better. But it makes it really soft and pliable, and it will take out any of the wrinkles that may have happened when you turned it. But just like that, and I'm going to kind of just crease it there at the bottom, we've got a 1/4 moon pouch made with a Missouri Star Fancy zip, Missouri Star Fancy vinyl, and our Drunkard's Path. I want to tell you about a few other materials you can use to make this. We've used the glitter here, but we also have 2 solids and 2 prints and a pink glitter. We have lots of colors of the Missouri Star zipper, but we also have some other materials that make this really fun. I also really like this mesh. It's great for throwing your swimsuit in or some kind of wet thing that needs to dry, and it is super easy to use and then clip to the outside of another larger tote bag. We've also got in the pattern a way to make this with your favorite quilted cottons, again using the Missouri Star Fancy Zip. So I cannot wait to see what kind of quarter moon pouch you make. Please share with us using the hashtag MSQC Show and Tell. And thanks for joining me on this tutorial from the Missouri Star Quilt Company.
Hi everybody, it's Jenny from the Missouri Star Quilt Company. We hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you aren't already part of the Missouri Star Quilt Company family, be sure to subscribe so you won't miss a thing. And if you click that bell, it'll notify you every time a new tutorial comes out. See you next Friday.